Without Context.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Without Context podcast. I am Decavolty, as always, joined by SharkyHat, co-host, and look who we've got. We've got Duck back.
Yeah, Charlie's back.
Hello.
We've got Charlie
20 like 20 or 15 episodes later.
It might be a bit more than that, but I'm here.
It's okay. It's just, we're all adults with adult jobs now. So it happens.
It does.
Whack. Don't ever write IEPs. They're terrible.
And joining us alongside Duck this episode is Nightstar. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
Hi. It's me. I'm Nightstar.
It's our friend
Or
Lindsay.
Lynn.
Yeah,
Lynn is fine. Or Lindsay. Whatever. I answer to a lot of things.
Yes.
one of the players in the Call of Netherdeep campaign.
Yes. Both of these people are players in my Call of Netherdeep game. We just wrapped up the last episode for this year, largely because I just foresee, even if we get maximum one more episode out, it's going to be like pulling teeth for most of us because the holidays.
Yeah, that time of year.
It's that time of year, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad. Nobody's mad at anybody. We're all adults. We got things to do. But the thing I wanted to bring these two together for is because, we'll get into that in a little bit. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about Call of the Netherdeep. As I mentioned, the game is going to be on just a little bit of a hiatus for the rest of this month, and then for the month of December. You will see the 2 episodes that I have currently recorded. At some point, I'm going to edit them. I want to have one out at the beginning of December, and then I want to have one out towards the end of December, still on Mondays. But it's going to be like when we get there, just so we still have content, because like I said, we're probably going to be skipping episodes here of the podcast itself. So I wanted to have something out in the meantime.
Yeah.
With all of that said,
it's always like this, like each year, like on our D&D games, it's like, well, it's halfway through November. I'll see you guys in January. It's like
Pretty much.
This is not unique to our tables. It is not unique to our podcast. This is just about every American.
And I was talking to Kevin today. You guys are going to see this episode on Friday, but because he and I are both going out to a friend's, like post Thanksgiving where all the friends get together, we probably won't have a Naruto episode up next weekend either, because that's on Sunday. So we'll probably, in terms of the people who are here now, we'll probably be talking about that later. But just in case, we probably won't have an episode up this week for the Dummies and D20s channel.
Oh, yes, these two are also on the Dummies and D20s.
Yeah, they are. We sort of share the cast across the board.
We do.
So
Sharky and Duck brought all their friends over, and we're like, let's just play different games together.
Yeah. It was
mostly
like
Duck at this point.
Well, the first thing was getting the group together was going to Kevin and being like, do you know people that want to play D&D? And him bringing Lindsay, Erica, and Mike in. And then I started the other game, and I was like, hey, Deca, do you want to bring more people to play D&D? And then Charlie came in, and Echo came in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, all right, we just slowly collecting the friends.
Yeah.
And then you took like half and half and started your game.
That almost sounds like we divorced. We did not.
The DMs are having an argument.
Yeah.
It's like, it's my weekend with the kids.
It's my weekend with the kids. Oh no.
Oh no.
So we're going to start here with Duck, who's been on the podcast before. Tell us about how long you've been playing D&D.
Oh Jesus. I've been playing D&D. I started when I was, 12, 13 years old. So we're going on like 18, 19 years now. I started pretty much with the release of 3.5 coming out. I think it was on D&D's 30th anniversary that I actually started playing. My first character was an elven fighter. All he was adventuring for was to support his best friend, who was an elven paladin. And since then, I've played many characters. Every race, every class, except for Artificer. Still haven't played Artificer. Look, we're not going to talk about it. Anyway.
If you want to hear about D&D characters, watch episode 1 from a year ago. Where we talk about our favorite D&D characters with the full cast.
Currently, I am playing Kai Emmerich. He is a human blood hunter who is completely randomly generated. Everything for him, from race to class to stats to what weapons he would have to what skills he would have to his backstory, all of it was rolled for. So it was very much.
Shout out to Mighty for making the NPCs.
Nah, it was not Mighty.
That was Yunji.
It was Yunji. We still got we've had one in there. We're waiting to see the rest. But it was very much an exercise in, can I take a randomly generated character and be able to successfully RP them? But I'm gonna have to do that exercise again because it basically gave me a character I would play anyway. So
there you go.
It's like, we're not going to try.
It's almost
Here
like
you go.
It's almost like you're a talented role player or something and can just take what you're given.
I appreciate that.
See more of Charlie's role playing. Watch the Dummies and D20s Naruto campaign.
It's true. Very different character in there.
Very different. We don't have to just talk about Call of Netherdeep. We could talk about the Naruto game.
Sure.
It's an
Since we're all in here.
Yeah.
Sure.
And our Dummies and D20s Naruto game, I am playing Takumi Nara, clearly of the Nara clan. We're about halfway through that campaign. He is the party's strategist. He's been holding some secrets from the party that are slowly coming to light. And there's still more to be uncovered about him. There's still a lot that people don't know what he can do in a fight, really, other than his Nara jutsus. And it'll be interesting to see what choices he makes as we finish up that campaign.
Yeah. And
So you're playing kind of the same character twice, is what you're telling me.
No. Yes,
No?
but no. So he is the intelligent one of the group. However, he is much more of a supportive role than Kai is.
Gotcha.
Kai is much more. Yeah, Kai is much more of a straight frontline combatant who is there to protect his friends on the front line and keep things from getting to them. Whereas Takemi is there to make his allies more potent in combat and to sort of let them deal with the big threats while he takes care of everything else.
Gotcha. Yeah. Sounds good.
time.
And then same question for Lindsay.
Lindsay.
When I started?
Yeah, when you started playing D&D and who you currently playing, Call of Netherdeep and all that good stuff. And
I was a late D&D bloomer. I had seen my friends playing in college, but I never got into it at that point, and many years passed by. And then in either October or November of 2018, a friend approached me and he was like, we're going to start a new game. And we were wondering if you'd be interested in joining us because it's going to be very new to D&D friendly. And so I thought about it for a little bit and it sounded like I looked over the books and it looked like fun. So I said, sure. And
do you remember your first character?
Oh, yes, very well. My first character was Efwin Nightshade. She was a wood elf rogue assassin. And
Like a Lindsay character.
Very on brand.
Yeah.
Listen, I know what I'm about.
I respect it. Continue, sorry.
It's okay. She was pretty much a loner until she found her party, and then lots of stuff happened with them, and it was a really fun time, and I was hooked. Not even a month after learning D&D, I got pulled into learning how to play Pathfinder. And then not even a month after that, I had to learn how to play Starfinder. So it was like boom, 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 all these big new systems.
Scaling difficulty.
Scaling difficulty.
Scaling difficulty. And like by the end, I'm just like that meme of like the kid holding her forehead, crying, looking at her homework. Like, I was like, there's so much.
You're like, we're going back to 5th edition.
Yeah.
Just
So
wait until we play mutants and masterminds.
Oh,
like
Jesus.
legitimately, I have not touched Pathfinder or Starfinder since then. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But in current campaigns, I play, well, in Called Netherdeep, I play Eve, or Genevieve is her full name.
Mhm.
DeCorvo. She is the daughter of a famous adventurer. Half-orc bard of valor, college of valor. And she is not the brightest bulb in the box, but she means well, and she's very charismatic. She pretty quickly treats her friends like her family. Very easygoing character, as opposed to my Naruto character, Shion. Just the saddest bitch in the box, really. Just probably the saddest character I have ever played, and that's saying something for me because I've rolled some tragic backstories, but Jesus.
A little
She
bit
broke
I've
all
seen and heard. Just, oh man. Oh boy.
Yeah, the dice were not kind to her, and I rolled for her backstory, and it was just
Tragedy after
like,
tragedy
okay.
after tragedy. Oh, what's this? It's another tragedy.
More tragedy.
What's the meme? The rat and the president. It's like, oh no, get away! You only bring tragedy. And it's like, I got you a present.
It's
oh,
not
thank
tragedy.
you. It's tragedy.
It's tragedy.
God damn it.
I was like, Takumi and Kosugu were both just like, yeah, we both lost people that were dear to us. And then Shion was just like,
It's like that. Just like a cup of coffee. Just like that's sweet.
Hold my beer.
First time.
Jesus.
Also,
First time.
if you're listening to the audio or watching the video of this and you think Lindsay sounds sick, it's because she is, and we pulled her into this.
I have been. I have been sick. Today is the first day I'm not coughing my head off, so
Conveniently timed, at least.
yeah.
She's still feeling it, Mr. Krabs.
So yes, I am very sniffly. I am very much feeling it, Mr. Krabs. I'm still sniffly and a little coffee, but not as bad. So, but anyway.
So one of the reasons I brought the both of you here is it's easier to catch an hour of time when there's two people being interviewed about their D&D game versus one. But also, you two have, or your characters have, engaged in I would call it a slow burn at this point, as to get where it got as a romantic unit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When you're looking at like their full backstories, yeah, because like
Right.
behind the scenes, we kind of planned that like, well, I rolled that I had a friend, and I think so did Duck, and so it's like, well, I mean, could just say that they had met up at some point in the past, and so they'd been traveling together for quite a while before they joined up with the rest of the group.
It super worked out too, because like in the way that some of the other players and their characters shaped out, like it worked out that, you know, there's you two who are like the core, and then people kind of built around you guys as more disparate figures joined you. I think that's saying it kindly.
Which is interesting
Uh,
because backstory wise, it's much more that we came to the rest of the group.
Yes.
It just kind
both
of
can be true.
turned around.
The benefits of collabing with other players, the point of session zeros. Let's discuss
Yes.
connections.
Yeah.
Discuss
Absolutely.
connections.
It's like,
There's a
alright,
lot of things you do in your session zero is you establish your boundaries, you establish connections, and you make a little roadmap.
my,
Also, since we're on the topic of romance in D&D,
Uh-huh.
if it's going to be with another PC or even the DM, just talk to him beforehand. Talk to him out of
Yes.
session. Make sure everything's cool and on board.
yeah, do not
I
try
did
to
that.
romance the person across from you if they're not feeling it.
Yeah. Read the room. Definitely read the room.
If there's one thing I know about Lindsay is that she's a sucker for sad characters and romance.
Listen,
Shit, bitch, me too.
What's the thing from the
like all
Discord
you
last
have
night?
to do is like look at me and be like, "Hey, you want to?" Yes, you son of a bitch, I'm in.
You
What's
son of a
the,
bitch, I'm in.
thing from the Discord. It's like, hey, new character. It's a tiefling, and I'm just like, daring today, aren't you, Charlie?
How original.
But it's just like the session zero or any kind of
Oh.
pre-planning is when I talk to like Lindsay, and it's like, how sad do you want to make this character? Like when
It's
we
like, She's
did our
real
last
fucking
our last campaign, I was like, so how sad is Gwen? It's like,
Oh.
here's the backstory, and I'm like, damn, that's tragic. Like let's build on
yeah.
this.
in my heart.
poor Gwen.
And that was another thing. It was like, okay, how do you
Jeez.
want me to play this character that's like central to her trauma? And it was just like
Nasty.
You did
just
great.
creepy,
He's-
make it nasty. It's like
he-
make him a nasty human. Like,
What was the
Yup.
quote? If you're making my skin crawl, you're doing it right.
yeah, I think
Exactly.
I think
That's
it's actually a
exactly what it was.
message. Like I think that's in our DM. It's just if my skin's crawling, you're doing it right.
Yep.
And that is what we call enthusiastic consent into that. We talked a little bit about this when we had Sharky's actress friend in.
Yeah.
About, you know, opting into these things, into these situations, and not just as the DM or as the player, just going headlong into these things because, you know, your players aren't into it all the time. You gotta talk to them about it.
Yeah, it's like
For
we
sure.
that conversation with Marissa about the like acting career and all that, and like there's a lot of overlap in that Venn diagram of, you know, role playing and acting, because you still have to set those kind of boundaries where you're like, I'm not comfortable doing this scene, or hey, can we like change it up to, you know, make it a little more manageable, or talking to like a co-star about it, especially when we're talking about how she was playing like a bit character in like a true crime series where like her actor, the people like she was acting against were people playing like Dahmer or Bundy or something. So it's like you had to get into
Yeah.
those mindsets, and I mean that stuff can carry over, you know, if you're not careful. So
sure.
it's a lot of like trust and communication.
The,
I think
the character play is very real.
yeah, and I think we've had enough years as like a group that we kind of have a vibe with each other.
For sure.
I-
There's
That
definitely a
it's like
comfort.
we know our we kind of have an idea of where the boundaries lie with everybody. So it's like if we do overstep it, it's like, okay, that was kind of a rare thing, you know, we now know it, kind of thing. So
Dial it back a little bit.
yeah.
And
also,
on top-
just to be clear,
Yes.
sorry, Deca. Just to be clear on
Okay.
that, boundaries aren't like a hard line in the sand necessarily either. Those can shift and change, and
They
you
will.
might get closer. You might get closer to someone, and they be open to more. They might, you know, you might hit a sensitive topic, and them just want to fade to black immediately. Like it's something you really have to feel out.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Just talk to everybody at the table, you know?
there's a reason when we end every session, I'm always like, hey, did you guys have fun? And it's not just me asking for people to pat me on the head because I did a good job. That is part of it. But a lot of it is because I want to make sure that my table is, we all had a good time. Things happen. If something happened that, we didn't like, but we didn't want to say anything in the moment, we can talk about it. All that good stuff. We take care of each other. I want the group to kind of like at least start decompressing around me before we scatter.
Yeah, and I think like going back to something that I brought up too, it's like I think that was something that I needed to do a lot in our campaign when we ran it, especially with how that last session went, and everybody was kind of like riding the high of it when I could have just been like, timeout. I'm going to assess this. We'll come back. Maybe not today, but maybe next week. I need to talk to other players who aren't here. But I think we were all just kind of riding the high of the situation, and then it was like for a few days afterwards, I was just like thinking about it. I'm like, man, I just like kind of stole like a big resolution from everybody.
It was definitely a sense of like, wow, I can't believe we actually did that. And then it turned into, oh no, we actually did that.
Yeah, it was like there was that high for like the first day or so, and then it was like a few days in, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was so anticlimactic, and like I'm kicking myself for not kind of reading the situation a little bit better. Because if that was the thing, it's like I'm gonna do this, I'll be like, all right, we're gonna call it here. I'm going to think about this for the week and how to proceed and give myself an out, maybe like something like that. But it was like in that moment, I was like, oh shit, because it was like right after I was like, fuck, not everybody was here. This actually like kind of wraps up like a big like thing, so the other stuff can't happen now. So I'm just like, fuck, man. So I kind of kicked myself a bit for that, but something to learn from.
As a DM, those are moments too where you learn with experience, and then you're like, all right, I can, say I need a bathroom break, say I got to make a phone call the session here, and give yourself that time to figure out a contingency plan or how you're going to deal with this.
Yeah. But also like I have that mindset of like, man, I know there are DMs that are like, oh, the players thought of something creative. I'm not going to reward that. And like that was what I was trying not to do. But at the same time, it kind of cost like a lot of stuff like at the end of it, So I was like, shit. All right, let's try to do this better next time.
Yeah. Well, and that's all you can really do is try to do it better next time, right?
Yeah. So,
for what it's worth, I was as surprised as you were.
Yeah, it's like I didn't know the campaign was ending that day. Like,
not something you wake up and say unless it's like the last fight. You guys will know when it's the last fight in our campaign. You will know.
You will know because you're at a table.
Deca being a module.
It's like you will know
prior.
It's like you're at a table with Deca. It's the last bit of the book. It's like, okay, this is it. But that's just kind of something that relates to the whole, kind of talking to the players at the end of it and stuff like that. It's like that was something that I didn't do after that session. Is that we just kind of ended it, and I just kind of went off and like went into my own head for a bit about it.
Yeah.
So
an adaptation I actually made because of that, Sharky, was the dinner party, which is the first session that's going to come out in December. I waited until we had everybody for that reason, is because I wanted everyone to have at least one unique moment in that dinner party. My players are here. Did you guys think I succeeded at that?
I think so.
Definitely had unique moments with like Soleil and Irv, with Sorn. Kai and Eve sort of did their thing.
I expected Kai and Eve to do their thing.
That's kind of their thing.
The big thing is like trying to pull Amada and Arte more into the spotlight, and that's hard to do because like it also depends on player agency and like how much they're going to interact and everything, and some players may not be as comfortable doing that. So
yeah, and that's something I read a lot from those two particular players, is that they're just as comfortable being in their own devices, whatever they're doing, and maybe not as comfortable being in the spotlight. Arguably, Arte is kind of comfortable because she was in the tournament. Amada is well, you know, we talked about this when we had Amada on. She's still working on it, right? So I'm not going to be like,
it's her first game.
Yeah.
So.
It's her
yeah,
first
it's the
game.
first game. So
And I know she's told me out of game too that you guys have talked multiple times out of session with like ways to incorporate more things and ways she can be more comfortable. So
I mean, it's
Yeah.
also just comes down to, I guess, like player, you know, the player mindset. Like I said, some people just don't like being in the spotlight. And I get a read of that for a few of the people in our group that they're happy just kind of being there, you know, popping in every now and then when the situation calls. But there are people who are more comfortable like, hey, we're the big three. We're going to be the ones kind of leading everything, and everybody else kind of defers to them a bit. And I mean, I'm like that too. Like right now in the attack game for the live stream that I play in, I'm just a kobold fighter, and it's like I don't really like lead the negotiations or the conversation. I'm happy just kind of being the small muscle the team pulls in when they need it. So, and even with the Pathfinder game prior to that, it was the same thing. It's like, man, I'm not going to try to lead a conversation with an NPC because I'm not fully comfortable like role playing like all the time. So that's also why it's like
totally valid.
It's a weird like spot as a DM too when you have to like role play with your players, especially the players who are like, you know, keeping it going back and forth, and it's like, fuck, I don't do this much. Like, so
one of the things that when we brought up Amada, one of the things we did is that last little bit of it was the dinner party session when she read the letter at the end was that little bit was like something I you know, one of those things I tried to incorporate. And I don't want to put you on the spot like that, Tasha, but all those DMs afterwards were like, chef's kiss.
but
It's what I love to see as a DM is like that positive reinforcement of like, oh, this worked very well. Thank you so much. That's what I like to see.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of like when we go back to my game, with the exception of you, Deca, like it's Charlie and Lindsay and Kevin who are like usually leading, you know, the team in conversations or like planning. And I mean, not to call people out, but you know, Echo and Erica, most of the time they kind of just hang out in the back until it's their spotlight, and then when it's time for them, you know, they'll deliver. But
yes,
most of the time they're
not actively looking for it.
Yeah, and I'm the same way in the Naruto game a lot of the time. Like I'll defer to, you know, other people to, you know, talk to NPCs and stuff like that. So
what I did in your games in particular, Sharky, is I went so I made Salvador, who was definitely like steals the spotlight when he can. But I also made two, who is the very opposite of that. Yeah. I did that intentionally before I knew the games were going to merge.
Yeah, because I didn't want you to spend a lot of time just talking to yourself between your two characters.
Yeah, no, that would have been terrible. That would have been fun for like the first couple times, but it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
One of the things too that you have to like watch with that is the more games you play with the same people like instinctively start falling into those patterns too, even if you're playing vastly different types of characters.
Yeah.
So like I know that like with Atticus and with Kai, people have started like deferring to them as like, you know, de facto leaders of their groups. And like I'm like, how do I keep ending up in this position? I mean, this is not my intent. I mean,
I lampshaded it in the Naruto game. It's like even talking to Shion, Kaminari was like, I trust whatever Takemi comes up with. He's kind of the leader. So, and like, but again, that's not a thing. Like for you, like we're not thrusting you into that situation. It's just like we don't want that role in the team. So somebody has to take it.
It's also
somebody has to be the person to talk to the merchant.
It's also part of like having been a player for 18, 19 years. You just are automatically more comfortable dealing with situations, and people pick up on that.
And I mean, we had
unconsciously.
Yeah, we had a nice little triad in the in my campaign with you two and Kevin kind of being like the big three, like
the talkers,
the three like kind of leading the team roles, you know, all in your kind of your own ways at times, but it was definitely like the three experienced players were the ones who were like kind of taking on the team role.
I made Salvador objectively a bad leader, and that was great.
We had Atticus, who could be bright, but he was very self-destructive at times.
Uh-huh.
Good Lord.
Salvador, who
At
could
times.
Salvador, who could lead, but was just a pain in the ass doing it. And then Tulio,
like,
who
"Oh, I
had
guess."
Tulio, who had ideas at time, but was also dumb as a rock. So
Yes.
and then
Very
you
much
had,
the
you had the
island
real
of,
leader
like,
of the
"Oh,
team.
yeah, I guess.
The real leader of the team was kind of Gwen, just kind of having a leash on all three of them. Like, no,
The tired wine mom in the back.
She was absolutely tired, team mom.
But
And it also goes into like the personalities of each player. It's like if you talked to me 15 years ago, I would not be any kind of like talkative in any kind of tabletop game. I would just sit there. Okay, let me roll my dice. But over the time I've spent in, for as much as we all shit on retail, for all the time I've had to spend forcibly talking to people. Yes,
your customer
you can hear me code switch when I get stressed out.
Yeah, it's like even me, like I'm happy just being the guy who is thrown at an enemy. Like I like the combat of D&D. It's the stuff that's between it. It's like I can do it every now and then if it's something that, I'm engaging with. But a lot of the time, if it's like during a long campaign where it's like, oh, we're just talking to this NPC to, fulfill this next step to get back to the main story, I'm like, somebody else can handle that. I'm just going to hit the guards that come in, So,
like, and I want to stress, there is no wrong way to play D&D. If that's your bag, do it. Like, if that makes you happy, beating someone with a club until their HP goes to 0, do it.
There is one wrong
way to play. Live your truth.
There is one wrong play to play D&D, and that's playing with the fucking 2nd edition rules of TACO.
There's 2 wrong ways. There's also 4th edition. But
yeah.
4th edition. What if D&D was just World of Warcraft? it's like,
listen, when it comes to 5th edition, there is no wrong way to play your character.
Unless you're an asshole, then there is a wrong way.
And this is another thing that you go over in session 0 too, because there's like the 3 pillars of like exploration, role-playing, combat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's another thing, talk to your players, talk to your DM, like what is your style? Are you more RP heavy? Do you like combat more? Like do you want to skip, the exploration and just say, oh yeah, you were on the road for 2 weeks and this one eventful thing happened, or do you want to go through day by day?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I liked about our game, because I wrote up the session 0 thing and it kind of read like a syllabus, but that's kind of what you got to do with the module.
Yeah,
it's like okay, this is what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. Are you guys okay with this? Is there anything I need to pull back on? Is there something you guys want me to emphasize? All that kind of stuff.
It's like when
I still have those conversations with players.
It was like when I sent you my outline for the next Dummies and D20 campaign. I was running.
Yes.
It's like I had it listed down. It's like this session will be exploration combat. This situation will be social exploration. So it's like I can also plan myself around it. Like, okay, here's stuff that will add a variety to it, and also force me to get better at doing some of these things.
I remembered looking at it and remembered your players that you're going to have in there, and I was like, good luck with that.
Yeah. So
I don't even know who you're going to have in there.
No, it's just like he's looking at it and he's like, so you're planning on these like locations to be this episode? And it's like, yeah, and it's like, good luck with that. And I'm like, okay, listen, the illusion of choice exists in this game. So I can railroad without technically railroading.
And look, that's one of the great things about being a DM and like running your own setting too, is like, oh, your players are going to Huckleberry and suddenly they're in, Nosferog. Guess what? It's the same damn map either way.
It's just like, just switch these town names.
Change the labels.
That's great.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's just like trying to find something for everybody is always difficult. I know there are people that like combat. I know the people that like the social side. There's a collective of players that like the whole like exploration and wilderness like side of D&D that actually makes rangers useful, but it's a very small majority.
Rangers can be fun. Rangers can be fun.
Rangers can be fun if you make a great character. The ranger class does not make itself
So
Your
the
class
thing
is
with
not your
Rangers,
character.
and I have said this since 3.5, but mostly 5e came out. Rangers are fun when the DM works to incorporate them.
Yeah.
The DM has to know what features the Ranger has and make sure they get a chance to use them. Otherwise, they're worthless. Whereas every other class can generically like move into situations. Rangers are much more situationally focused.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Arte, who is the ranger in our game, because she has things that help with her social situations, and that is, I did not expect that for a ranger, but I was like, all right, we're gonna rock with that.
You froze on my screen.
Yeah, you're frozen for me.
There
Oh,
we go.
there you go.
I'm here.
There you go.
Hey, did I come through though?
You came
like
through.
my
Yeah,
voice.
You just
Yeah,
froze
yeah.
up. You just froze up
Perfect.
on video.
I don't care if my video froze as long as my voice came through.
Yeah. So yeah, and
Mm.
it's like the JoeCat joke of like Ranger is like just play a fighter with a bow. It's better. Like.
I do like the Fey Wanderer Ranger that we have with Erica's Arte.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting subclass.
I like the centaur memes that are coming out of it.
Jesus,
Jesus.
the best
Oh,
part.
absolutely.
Would a centaur spoon like this or like this?
Who was it? Oh god, it was when we did the brief play-by post. Somebody was like, "I want to play a centaur," and I'm like, "Bro, you're in a castle." It's like,
Yeah.
there's like ladders and stuff. I'm like, he's
Look,
like, but I can't. I'm telling him, I was almost like, you can.
Look,
I'm just saying you're going to be at a bit of a disadvantage.
that's just when you have to get creative as a player and you get like boots of spider climb and then you have to deal with a horse on the ceiling.
That's terrifying.
I remember
Only in
one
D&D.
of the first. I want to remember one of the first things I googled when we started the game, and I knew where it was going. I was like, "Can horses swim?"
Yes, they can.
Yes, not well.
Yeah, we have a whole
but
thing
I was
of,
like,
They mostly just kind of walk on the riverbed.
yeah, we have a whole thing of
I-
horses and like crossing like water here in Virginia. So
I remember the quote that I told in that session. You can look at it. It's like, Erica, I'm not going to punish you for playing what you wanted to play. Just swim, damn it.
This is a real horse underwater situation.
Exactly.
now, the dinner
yeah.
part, did she have like a whole dress like down her horseback, or was it just like the first set of legs?
So it was a jacket top, and then the tail went all the way to the horse, the hindquarters.
Excellent.
Yes. So if any artists here wanna get in on that, please.
The
I need
many
that in my brain.
conversations of how do centaurs wear clothes?
Yes.
All right, Bitey, you heard him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another character. I really want to get Bitey into a game with us.
Yes, absolutely.
Just be like,
Or
Conversely,
hey, Bitey,
push
play our
Bitey to
game.
finish their world,
like-
world dev, and
Yeah,
all volunteer as players.
It's like, Bitey, come play D&D with us. And then we throw money at them, and it's like, also make our character portraits.
Bitey, come play
You guys
D&D.
have-
It's lucrative.
it's lucrative.
Bitey's the one paid player in our campaign.
So, looping us back around, how do you guys feel about your current situation in the game?
I'm gonna need
Like
a
where
little
our
more
characters are?
specifics there.
About the Call of the Netherdeep game, where we ended last session. Where do you guys feel like we are, or how do you guys feel like we're doing? I believe I left you guys with a question, not the person, but like the a request, if you will.
Let me think.
I didn't write this down in my notebook.
So
we ended. Yes.
I've gotten a few messages from other players and be like, "Hey, why is Kai being a dick?" Which is absolutely fair because I have intentionally like role played Kai as slowly becoming more and more of a dick and slowly losing his grip on things as this campaign goes on. because he's trying desperately to hold this group together to keep his friends safe, and just more and more bad shit keeps happening to them, and he's just slowly mentally coming unraveled.
Certified D&D moment.
Certified D&D
Yeah.
moment.
Normally that's in the backstory though.
Nope. I
Hey.
front load that shit.
Lindsay feeling called out about that you can't have a fully fledged backstory at level 1.
Listen, you can have a lot to go off of without it
You can
being
have a lot to go
completely
off of.
concrete.
Yeah.
That's why you do the, what do you call it? The heroic chronicle that we all
Yeah.
did together,
That's-
mostly together.
Use vague details.
That's what
Also, yeah, new
Mhm.
players
that's what I pretty
don't.
much do for every.
Yeah, new players don't bring your DM fucking 3 pages of a backstory when you're starting a new campaign.
Or do. I'm not your parent.
But I mean, like,
Unless they ask for that. Some DMs like it.
yeah, some DMs like it. But it's like,
yeah.
Don't bring Sharky that.
don't bring Sharky there, because I'll be
Don't bring
like,
Sharky that.
I'll be like, what is this? A backstory for a character intending to survive this campaign?
It's almost like you want to see their story through or something.
I mean, that's always the most satisfying thing, which is also why, you know, I kind of beat myself up a little bit at the end of how ours ended. And I was like, shit, I was looking at the list of everybody and I'm like, God damn, like half the cast got like a resolution. So it was just kind of like,
Happens.
I was like, God damn it, just kind of beating myself up for like a week.
That happens.
But I'll make it.
like we
I'll make
said,
it up
like,
in our Dummies and D20 stuff as I kind of piece together a new storyline from the remnants of the original. So
yeah.
It's just an alternate timeline. It's fine.
that was the same timeline. I'm like, I'm gonna make this happen. This motherfucker.
This is going to work.
I was like,
will
this.
take this.
I was like, this motherfucker's been the enemy of these campaigns for 7 years, and he's still not dead. This party's going to kill him. Like this group is going to get to this boss
Are
and
they,
kill him.
we still have to do Operation Rescue Whist.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of
I
like
mean-
unresolved stuff too that it's like, you know, we'll touch on it one day or something. So
There was always that failsafe that we never used that you and I talked about.
there is. You're right, there is.
Mhm. You're like, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Thing.
Hmm.
Linz, how do you feel like the Call of Netherdeep game is going?
I mean, I've really enjoyed seeing how we started as these characters and like how it's progressed. Watching how they've like handled the situations and either grown or not grown or retracted from them. I know Eve is still, as far as she goes, she's just trying to figure out, get her bearings, so to speak. Because like for so long it was just like her and Kai doing their thing, and now he's kind of like pulling away a little bit and acting weird, and like, oh, well, I've got the rest of this group that I also care about, and you know, Soren, who's like a brother to her at this point in her mind, and so you know,
I can't wait to have Haley on this for this episode.
her
Continue, sorry.
her very reluctant therapist, Mace, isn't helping as much as she hoped, but you know,
Hey, you thought those thoughts, not me. Seek help.
Also,
listen here.
this is also is this your first like module campaign that you played in? Like one that's like by the book
Well, by the book.
for Lindsay?
Been a player in?
I mean,
No.
So you
'Cause
played
I've
other
done-
published ones.
I've done Strahd, Curse of
Okay.
Strahd.
Of course you have.
But
I think everybody has.
I
at this
mean, you
point.
know, everybody's done
Yeah.
Curse of Strahd, but and then I ran a module myself, but you know, I'm not one to go like completely by the book on
Yeah.
anything that I run or like to participate in. So
Same.
it's kind of nice to have that little bit of flexibility.
Yeah, it's like if our campaigns seem like they're disjointed and lack of structure, it's because we're making this shit up as we go. So,
Hey.
Boy, howdy.
it's like,
Boy,
and
look
then,
at all this lore I have. Would you love to use it someday?
that's me. It's just like, Dow's, are you writing more lore for your world? It's like, I can't stop. Like, some of this shit will never be covered, but I have a
Now,
whole thing. I have a whole thing about what's going on in this Russian region we haven't even considered going to. So
Oh my god.
I'm still not considering it.
it's like
Not gonna
even-
lie to you, buddy.
it's not even on the list of like my possible future things. So
It's just werebears all the way down.
yeah, it's just like I think that was one of the I think that's a quote from Matt Coville, one of his videos is the lore is not the story, which is something that I'm also
Lore, it's the lore.
which is also something that I'm trying to get better with. So I like doing like big lore drops, even though it might not actually like progress the story in a meaningful way.
Mm.
And
I've done a couple of those with in Exandria as well. Just little shout outs here and there, like to other things. Like the shout out we had to Desariat, the Phoenix.
The Twilight Phoenix.
The Twilight Phoenix, yeah.
yeah, so it's like it's good to have like those kind of things to like kind of reward players who have been around for a while or have like, interacted in a way that would know that information. But it's like need to be like, all right, what's the story of the campaign as opposed to what's the lore of this area? Like how can they connect, but how does it not like rely on it?
Yeah.
So
I think one of the ways you incorporate that too is you throw out extra story seeds. You throw out extra hooks that your players might look at and just never touch. And you're like, well, that's going to get worse now for somebody down the line.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I have done that.
Like a boss
in
that hasn't
this
been dealt with
game.
in 7 years.
yeah. I mean, that's like the thing too. It's like I tried to trying to make like this big bombastic campaign that really only Kevin would know the full story to, because he played in the other two campaigns that it was built off of. So it's like when I throw out stuff, Kevin's like, "Oh, I get it," because he was there for like those ones. But it's
Captain
like
America. I understood that reference.
yeah, but it's also like, oh man, some of these are like related to the actual story, so nobody else would have context for these. And it's like, oh shit.
We didn't need that crown. It's fine.
Yeah, so it's just like while it didn't get it got a resolution, but I don't think it got like the best resolution it could have. I'm using a lot of those lessons to structure like this next series of the mini campaigns for, Dummies and D20s to kind of build off of it and hopefully get like a better overall resolution to everything. So these are like parts of the finale, I suppose I will say. Even though it's like not going to be the same cast, it's going to be new people being thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
But
like
that
said,
becomes a
someone has to
real
deal with
fun
it.
thing.
Yeah,
That becomes a real fun thing when you can pull in like veteran players too into a group of whole new players.
yeah.
And they're just like, oh yeah, there's this guy that, we heard about because, he fucked with these oozes at one point and now they're taking after him.
Yeah, Atticus opened a door in a sewer one day and got punched, and now this group of oozes worship him as a god. So
You're welcome.
and that is Jeremy's campaign 3 character. is the ooze in the shape of Atticus.
Oh my god.
No, vaguely in the shape of a blue tiefling.
Vaguely in the
Completely
shape of a
unrelated.
motif. And that's the thing.
Right.
If you will.
That's the thing that I'm excited about too, because we're going to have these recorded, D&D games in my setting whenever I'm DMing on the channel that are going to build off of everything that we've done. But we're also going to have our own like offline, game that is a whole new section of the world, completely unrelated, with the exception of a character connection to this campaign that we have finished. So it's gonna be a nice little
It's
like
important.
it's gonna be a nice little reset while we also go through and get like a better conclusion in like the mini-sode like campaigns that we're going to be doing.
It's really important to yes, to have content out for people, because that's how you get your serotonin in when people are like, that was a good session. And get it out for people to see. But it is equally important to have, yes, there are games we need to have just for us, in that no one's ever going to see, that you play Bling Blop the Goblin and just fart around for 3 hours a day, every week.
I'm going to share that again on the Twitter if nobody's seen that picture. Just the DM explaining why imagination is fun. And then me realizing I have to do math for the next 3 hours as a goblin named Blarbo.
Like, you gotta have balance. Yes, it's fun to show off your kind of showing off your acting chops, but it's also important to do something. Remember, it is a hobby to have fun.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be like, not to be so like too derail, or as for like speaking to a DM, it's like if you put out a number of episodes. Like, we're saying 10 for Dummies and D20s. Most of our campaigns are going to be 10 or 11 episodes. So they'll be quick to finish. We can rotate out to a new DM and just kind of keep the variety going, because we don't want to have like a 3-year running campaign on the channel where that's the only thing we're doing. You know, we want to have more systems. We want to experience new systems, which is why we kind of set up this channel to begin with. It's like, all right, we're going to be playing Vampire for this series. We're going to be playing, this system for this series, so we can actually get a variety of systems in. But
don't worry, we'll get to the Vampire at some point.
But at the same time,
I'll do that one.
At the same time, it's like, all right, we're going to do our D&D game with our group of 7 or so that we have, all the friends, all the homies hanging out. It's our, Far East setting where everybody gets to be there, like most anime. In ways, and it's a whole thing. It's like, all right, we're resetting it. We're not thinking about the first campaign. This is a whole new thing. So and then after that, whenever we finish that, we have the third campaign, which is the Sand Pirate Treasure Hunters, which I think
Pirates!
We have like 2 campaigns back to back that I think everybody's just really excited for because of the concept. So
absolutely.
Alvin threw out, guys, sand boats, and we're like, Alvin, that's sweet.
We just took it and ran.
Yeah, it was just like,
it
just started as a thing and we just ran with it before the next campaign even started, and I'm like, god damn it. I kind of want to run this one.
There's going to be a town out there that races. There's going to be a town out there that races sand boats, and I'm just waiting to see the Too Fast, Too Furious in the sand.
Yeah,
that's just pod racing.
Yes.
I'm waiting for somebody to hit the sand, just like, I hate sand. It gets everywhere. But yeah, so that's all for us. It's like, it's also helping me like flesh out this world a bit, because I plan to make spells, I plan to make items, I plan to throw out stuff onto the internet, kind of like detailing it a bit.
And 2032, when Sharky publishes a D&D campaign setting.
Yeah, 2032, after years of running myself ragged, losing the rest of my hair, here's the campaign setting.
He's got one layer of long hair, and it's all stringy and gray. I remember when I played 5th edition for fun.
It's not, despite how much lore I write, it's not going to be like the fucking Kickstarter ad I saw today, where it's like, this is a campaign setting and a campaign. It's 900 pages, and I'm like, how thick is that?
I'm not gonna buy that.
Like,
I own that PDF.
It's like I forget what it's for, but I'm like, 900. Can you just separate the campaign setting and the adventure into 2 books? It's like,
not allowed.
No, we're gonna make this cinder block of a book that you can buy.
Oh God.
I
wouldn't
want to transport that. Like, as somebody who plays table D&D, it's like, I wouldn't want to transport that. So
that's when you have D&D at your place.
But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know we talk about D&D a lot on this, but it's like, there are other systems. So as a DM and a player, you should ask if you guys can play other systems. Like, we've been playing D&D for 4 years now, I think, as this group, maybe like going on 4 years or so. And it's just like, we've played a different system like 3 times, like 3 sessions over that whole time. And it's like, man, I think it's kind of due for a different series.
When we're done with Call of the Netherdeep, I am for sure running Vampire.
And I'll be excited because I want to play Vampire.
I will absolutely run Vampire, and if you guys want to be a part of it, there you go.
And I mean, I'm
Come
gonna
on.
finally sit down
Absolutely.
one of these days.
Come on.
You're gonna like come to me and say, "Well, I might be doing a vampire game." Like I'm
No.
not
This
gonna
is-
want to know that. Like,
This
And I mean,
Comes to
isn't.
me
This
on
isn't.
the day of my daughter's wedding.
This isn't. And I might be. This is. I will be.
This is a
It's just a
guarantee.
matter of when.
Yeah, so at least for Dummies D20s, we have a modified D&D system right now, which is
Mhm.
which is pretty much like an amped up 5e, because we're like level 7, and I'm like, why do I have a plus like 9 proficiency? So, but also one of these days, I'm gonna get through reading any of these like third-party books I have that are like a 2-dice system.
Is
Like
that sword lesbian?
no, this is lighthearted. It's an 80.
Oh, okay.
It's like an 80s Breakfast Club, but emotional magic.
Oh, I
And
love
With
that.
it. I'm about it.
a whole different system. But then I also have, Glitter Hearts, which is like the magical girl like setting.
I do like.
I have the Power Rangers book. I got, Hunter the Reckoning, which could, go hand in hand with Vampire if the rules are very compatible with each other. I mean, I'm waiting for Werewolf, honestly. I'm just waiting for the Werewolf book. I know it's coming out sometime. It's
I'm not.
it's
I'm not
coming out.
excited for
The
Werewolf.
Kickstarter succeeded. I'm just waiting for the book now. But then we have stuff.
I'm not really feeling.
Then there are like other systems, stuff like Genesis or the Aliens RPG. I'd love to maybe play an Aliens game, which is just basically
These masterminds.
No, it's just Alien. It's just survival horror, the tabletop. So
Yeah.
Survive as long as you can.
yeah, it's like the
Mhm.
goal is not escape. The goal is to just try to survive.
There's
So-
also like some more goofy ones like Morkborg where you're going to die. It's just a matter of how.
Yeah,
11 days.
11 days. That's how long I expected Clang to last. So I'm really surprised that my kobold, who wears a trash can for plate armor, has survived as long as he has.
I love him. I don't know him, but I love him.
One of these days, also, that's one of the plans. We're going to be running an all kobold game. So,
Oops, all kobolds.
oops, all kobolds.
That just
Wait.
screams chaos.
Yeah,
I
Can't
mean,
wait
it
until
does.
y'all meet Worm. I'm so excited.
but so
On,
we have like stuff in the
on-
pipeline. I mean, that's the thing. We just love playing D&D together. We love playing tabletops together.
Like-
So
As soon as we get the money for that community, we will.
Yes.
yes, we've
Just gonna buy a
stopped him from.
cul-de-sac.
Yeah, we stopped Charlie from saying compound, so we're now saying community.
Thank
I'll
you.
say that's
I
a
appreciate
win.
it.
I think I had to edit that out of the
No, you
Naruto
find it-
episode. I think that was part of like the
No, you
30.
find it-
I think that was part of the 30-minute segment I had to edit out of that video of us taking our break. So
You find a good group. It's hard to like not want to play with them.
yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like a lot of this was done just prior to the pandemic, and then I think about a year into both of our games because we were running 2 at a time, with one group and then the other group, which eventually merged into the super group. That came like right at the start of the pandemic, basically. So nobody could go anywhere, nobody could do anything, nobody wanted to go anywhere and do anything because of what was going on. So it's just like, how many D&D games can you think we can run this week? We got Decos.
All
we
of
got,
them.
We got mine.
All of them.
I know Lindsay's running one. I know
Look,
Charlie's
there's-
setting one up. Like,
There's 4 DMs in this call right now. If we get another 3, we each just pick a day.
I think also just out of the names that we all give ourselves, like in my server, I'm Lord Headass. And then Deca's just Deca. And then you have Lindsay, who's just the madam in her Discord.
Madame.
That's me.
And I'm like, I mean, that's a title, I guess. But
It makes sense in that world.
it does, because you're running, it's a modified, Blades in the Dark
Mhm.
as 5e.
That's
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think we all just keep coming back to 5e because it's a very simple system. It's not.
It's a system.
5e just
It's not simple. It's the fact that we've all played it for so long at this point.
It's
We
also
can kind
easy-
of do it in our sleep.
It's easier to learn than
it's
Pathfinder.
familiar.
Hmm.
It's familiar. It makes sense. Like logically, the things that you do in
Yeah.
5e make sense. Like it's not like just this crazy system. It can be tweaked and things like that. And yeah, we played speaking of my game, it spurned off of a friend of mine wanted to try a new system, so he's going to try Blades in the Dark. And so we attempted it. It didn't last very long, but I just like was head over heels for this world setting. And I just ate up everything I could about it. So I was like, well, that didn't work out, but I have an idea. And so for like a year and a half, I just was a little goblin in the trash, putting things together, and
you hit the books.
yeah, and just world building and all this stuff. And so,
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Speaking of like putting new settings to 5e, how's Dark Sun coming, Charlie?
Trying to get even just my 4 players available on the same day between holidays and people being sick and people needing hiatuses, and
yeah,
it's there.
I remember
have the information.
I remember that day. It's like, here's our plan for D&D going into next year, and it's just all these things, including like expanding the Phandelver like beginner adventure to a full campaign. And Charlie's like, still no Dark Sun.
I joke to you.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, Charlie pulls that on. It's like, all right, this is what you guys are doing all the next year. Fine, I'll do it myself.
Listen, I'm ready to play. I've got it.
Charlie's
Well,
the next one that has to deal with Alvin and his chaoticness.
Oh no.
Look, he said he's trying to collect broken DMs.
He is. He is. The last episode of Dummies D20s, he broke Kevin. Like,
look, and eventually we're all going to be players in his Warhammer game, and then it's going to come back full circle.
I know Alvin wants to embrace the full chaos, and it's like, hey, let's just play Warhammer tabletop. And he's like,
It's
I'm
out
going to
there.
do it to all the DMs that I've broken with my shenanigans. I love the group that we have, though. Like, even the players that
It's a good group.
even the players that weren't always there, like, they still had the energy and eagerness to, be involved. People like, Glitter. They played with us very briefly as Amara the Tabaxi, but I mean, when they played, they were like they were committed to it,
Dab cat.
Stabby tabby.
Yeah. So we have a good group. I mean, I wish more people could play more often. I would love to, get Glitter and, Bang's player back in. Keep forgetting the real name. Jenny.
Jenny.
Yeah. I'm talking
Get Polteros in for a game.
Dress has been sitting in that server since day one. He just hangs out there, and I love him. Like, he'll like drop in like every 6 months, post something, and then leave.
And then just dip.
And I'm like, I love him though. Like, I love Juros just hanging out.
The Chad move of just like muting all notifications, dropping something, and leaving.
Yeah, joins all
That
servers.
energy,
mutes,
though.
joins server, mutes all notifications, doesn't elaborate further. Like,
Oh my god.
so
I got my friends.
we got like
my
half the
friend.
friends list of Charlie's League of Legends players.
I have a
God.
coworker and her boyfriend in there that at some point I'm going to have to pull into a game.
Yeah.
I'm slowly trying to convince Yunji to play instead of
That's
just
the-
creating NPCs.
That's the long plan. We're going to get these people so used to our energy that when they play D&D with us, they're not surprised.
Look, my coworker that's in our server, when we are at work, tells me to shut the fuck up at least once a day. So she's already done with my shit.
It's excellent.
Amazing.
She'll be fine.
But I mean, I know this episode was supposed to be more about, what was going on in Call of the Netherdeep with players, but I think we had a nice, conversation about, players and, table communication and, all of us are DMs in our own ways too. So it's like, lessons that can be learned through stuff. So
And that's totally fine with me.
I like having this as the DM Roundtable 3.
Yeah. With 2 more DMs.
Yeah.
And fun.
But we got an hour. Like, then this is why I got 2 people instead of 1.
Yeah, it's really
Much
Hell
easier.
yeah.
We've talked about it on
It's much
episodes once.
easier.
I was like, it's just really hard for me and Deca to carry a conversation with one person. So
All of us are
like
waiting
we
for the other
touched on
person to
this
start
episode.
talking.
yeah,
Like we touched on this episode, It's very easy when you have the people that are used to accidentally stepping into that role of carrying the conversations too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
On that note, we are going to call this episode because we've got to an hour. Hell yeah.
yeah. And it's the day we're
yeah,
recording this
yo.
all the day before Thanksgiving, so I know other people probably just
All
want
of us
to
are
hang out and
Or need to go
relax
eat
and stuff
sleep.
like that. I mean, I have the day off tomorrow, but I was at work all day today, so it's like I just want to kind of turn everything off
Go
right now
vibe.
and just exist in
Yes.
my chair for a little bit.
That is what I'm going to do as soon as we're done here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm potentially going to
Yeah.
stream more because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Pokemon.
Of course.
Pokemon.
But if you like what you see here, you are always welcome to hit the subscribe button. You can like the videos, share it with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you like the ideas that were brought along from the Naruto game, you can subscribe to Dummies and D20s. Or you can wait until the first Monday of December when I upload the latest episode for Call of the Netherdeep.
Yeah.
It's your choice. I'm not your parent. You can do both.
We just
I'm
give
not
you
stopping you.
give you all content. Like
Yeah.
two D&D campaigns, a podcast.
No,
Just
go away,
content.
rat. You carry D&D.
I also bring gifts. Oh, it's a podcast.
God damn it.
But yeah, I think that's about all I have. Do you guys have anything that you want to plug since you're here?
They both stream.
Yeah,
and their links will be
you
in
both,
the.
you
Come
both
watch our
literally
streams.
stream.
They both kind of stream, and their links will be in the
Yes.
description as always.
As
Always, now that I'm a little bit more knowledgeable what I'm doing, yes. New viewers would be good.
Yeah. All right.
Look,
well,
I've streamed like 36 hours in the past week, so I'm on there. Just
Just
come watch.
that push for partner. I remember doing
the
that.
push for affiliate, the push for partner.
Affiliate.
Affiliate.
Different.
Yeah.
The partner push is going to be a long slog.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be. But you got this. But yeah,
We'll get there.
That's been the Without Context podcast. I've got these three lovely people with me. I've got Sharky, I've got Duck, and I've got Linz. And I'm Deca, of course. And we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yo.